The NHL 26 Be a Pro Deep Dive has been released, and in this video, we are going to break down everything that was shown off in the trailer, as well as some info that wasn't included. Let's get into it. So the biggest focus for Be a Pro in NHL 26 is that everything actually matters. In prior Be a Pro iterations, you were met with endless conversations that were just filler and really had no impact on your character or the story of your Be a Pro at all. In NHL 26, they look to hopefully alleviate a lot of that, where every conversation you have with the media, the coach, the GM, even your agent, all has a purpose and actually matters for your player, whether it's with additional attributes or player traits or brand likeness and all of that stuff, which we'll get into a little bit more. So NHL 26's Be a Pro mode kicks off in the World Juniors, which I actually really enjoy because the World Juniors is one of the best events in hockey. You essentially pick the team that you want to represent, and then you play through the semifinal and finals of the World Juniors, all in the hopes to improve your draft stock and win gold for your country. The deep dive goes on to show the flag-raising ceremony as well as other cinematics highlighting your performance at the World Junior Tournament, which is a nice way to kick off your story. Now, after the World Juniors, you can also further improve your draft stock by playing through the Memorial Cup on one of the CHL teams or over in Europe in the Champions Hockey League. Again, this will give you a few games to further improve your overall player, as well as improve that draft stock before eventually leading up to the NHL draft, where how you perform will legitimately impact your draft spot. If you perform poorly enough, or if you just sim through everything, there's a real shot that you can end up in like the 4th round. Now, with this new chapter-based structure of objectives and goals to hit throughout your season and your career, once you've been drafted, you're not just guaranteed a spot in the NHL. You'll have preseason battles where you need to fight for a roster spot, where the GM and coach will have objectives that you need to hit, and if you don't, you'll fall further down the lineup, and if you play poorly enough or sim everything, you can start your career in the AHL, which is actually a nice bit of storytelling if you wanted to make it even more of a challenge. Now let's talk about the new hub that you'll have for Be a Pro. This is your essential home screen while you're playing the mode. Now, from here, you're going to be able to see all of your challenges. So you'll be able to see things that your coach or the general manager or just goals in general that you've got to hit to improve your standing with the team or coach or whatever the goal entails. You've also got a nice top headline graphic that'll kind of set the stage for what's going on or what's about to be upcoming. I'll be honest with you, there's not a lot here in that, but it just kind of breaks up the hub a little bit. As you can see in this graphic, for example, it says grudge match, Jonas Kronwall seeks win versus the Los Angeles Kings, but that's all it really has. Now, in the bottom right, you'll see the form score. And this is essentially the way to measure how you're playing. Your form score reflects your recent performance. So think about the in-game things that you're required to do, whether it's your offense, defense, team play, all of that. That's kind of the representation of your form score. So the better you play, your higher your form score, and you will have objectives from your coach or general manager where you need to hit a sustained form score through a section of the season to keep your spot in the lineup. Now let's talk about how you're upgrading your player. This is the key aspect to Be a Pro, in my opinion, because without an engaging way to actually upgrade our players, the whole mode just becomes very boring. So in NHL 26, you've got a few things that you can upgrade. Obviously, your attributes and player traits, which we'll get into, but let's start first with X Factors. In NHL 26, they reintroduced X Factors by completely redoing them. So we know from the gameplay release that there is going to be 3 tiers of X Factor abilities: Specialist, All-Star, and then finally the 3rd tier of each X Factor ability is Elite. So in our Be a Pro journey, we're able to select 3 X Factor abilities to have. And as you can see in the screenshot here, we've got the Born Leader Specialist X Factor ability, the 1st tier of it, as well as Rocket. And we can mix and match with all the other X Factor abilities available to us. However, you're going to have to unlock them to get new abilities, and to upgrade them to the next tier, that's going to require to use the new energy system. So we get a quick glance at the activity screen, which is honestly the most important screen for upgrading your player. You'll notice up in the top right, there are 3 different currencies: X Factor points, trait points, and lastly, energy. Now, you'll gain energy by playing the game regularly and performing well, and then using that allotted energy to upgrade your player in these 6 different categories here. Again, on this screen, you can see down below, if you wanted to get X Factor training points, you could spend your energy on X Factor points, which would then allow you to get X Factor point currency, and then you could unlock other X Factor abilities to upgrade your player. You've also got skill training points, which is going to allow you to pick and choose what abilities you want to upgrade. So if you want to become a faster skater, you'll have to invest skill training points into skating. The skill tree is quite expansive, and honestly, the most interesting part for me was actually your off-the-ice skills that you can upgrade. They're broken up into influential or confident, and if you invest into either of these skill trees, it'll actually unlock future conversation options that aren't available to you unless you hit a certain tier in either of these two skill trees. So for example, you could be in a media scrum and you're met with two choices that either give you massive management penalties or teammate-liked penalties. There might be one if you are investing into the confident skill tree that allows you to avoid those negative aspects from that conversation. It reminds me a lot of like Mass Effect or other games like that, where if you have enough charisma, you can avoid the negative aspects of a lot of things and kind of talk your way out of it. Again, not super important, but I just thought like a neat little additional aspect to the game. Now, obviously, presentation was a major focus as well, where they redid all of the cinematics for your Be a Pro journey. For example, you've got the tunnel walkout of your first NHL game. You've got a new Stanley Cup celebration, as well as a retirement ceremony as well when you complete your career. I also like the added fact that if you were to win an award, it'll actually show you a cinematic of you winning that award as well. To me personally, one of the best additions to Be a Pro is the fact that everything is actually voice acted. So anytime you interact with your agent, the coach, the GM, even teammates like Macklin Celebrini,
hey, congrats on making the roster. This is a huge accomplishment.
It will all be voice acted, which in my opinion, I don't think there should ever be any like chat bubble text cinematics in video games in 2025. So I'm glad that they took care of a lot of that. Now, the last bit of info they gave us was the career earnings and what you're supposed to do when you earn a bigger contract. And there will be salary perks that refresh monthly based on your actual signing salary, and you can choose whether to spend that cash on lifestyle upgrades or accept endorsement challenges that could boost your brand. In past Be a Pros, this was all pretty meaningless and kind of just an added extra step for the sake of adding an extra step. It's not like we get our own apartment or condo and you're going to visually see that improve. It just gives us some utility with the money that we sign to make our contract a little bit more valuable. So when it comes to my thoughts after seeing the Be a Pro deep dive, there are a lot of boxes that it does check. Obviously, the fact that we can actually get sent down to the AHL and start our journey in the juniors is a big added bonus. It was something they took out years ago, and I don't understand why they did. Adds a lot of immersion, and it does look like the choices that you make, whether it's from conversations or just what happens in-game, will impact how your player actually grows. And the all-new energy system where you can kind of pick and choose how to upgrade your player, and that includes off the ice as well as on the ice. It will all come down to this, however. How repetitive are the cinematics? Because after the first year, is it really just the same thing over and over again? And secondly, is it enough to sustain another multi-year absence of upgrading Be a Pro? It's going to be fun to enjoy it this season, but unfortunately, the history of Be a Pro and launches for NHL, it really looks like they focus on one mode and then pretty much leave it alone for quite some time. So I hope that the additions that they've made this year allow them to easily upgrade it in future titles. Let me know what you're most interested in seeing from Be a Pro. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.